Hey guys, and welcome back to another IronWill podcast with me, Shane Warner, and
Jon Chase.
So what this podcast is all about is we are trying to get stories from people that have been through a traumatic experience in their lives and came out a different person.
Yeah, they have all created an iron will. So what is an iron will? A burning determination that cannot be stopped or hindered by anything, willing to do anything to get a desired outcome, extremely resilient. So what we like to say is just keep punching.
Yeah. So each time we interview a person on this IronWill podcast, that's the types of things that we're looking to get out of them is...
We want to make sure that we understand their story, what they've gone through, because people have gone through a lot of hard things, right? We want to know what they've gone through, how they've overcome it, and then what they're doing now to give back.
And if you or anyone you know has a story that they would like to share on the podcast, my email address is shawarn@gmail.com. And you can send me an email and we'll get that person on the podcast.
Right on.
So sit back and relax and we're going to start the show. I'm going to do something a little bit different this time. I'm going to have our guest introduce himself. I usually like to introduce our guest, but I'm going to try it a little bit different this time. So without further ado, here he is.
Yes, I'm Kevin Hooker, and I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. It's like that by the Texas border, if anybody doesn't know where that's at. And it's kind of close to Monroe, I guess you could say, if you're from Louisiana. The Shreveport's just like a little hole in the wall town.
And so you were born in 1970, but your story starts when your dad was serving our country in Vietnam. What can you tell me about that experience for him?
When I talked to him, he was telling me he was a mortar logistics. He was always telling me that when they shot missiles and mortars and everything, he kind of made sure they didn't fire on their own people, like friendly fire. And he served in like 1968, 69, and 70.
And then you were born in 70.
Yeah, you were born right after.
Yeah, I was born like right after. In fact, I think he had to come home, a little early because I was going to be born.
Okay,
yeah. He got leaked like a couple of times from what I understood.
And I guess, what do you know about him and Agent Orange?
He just told me that he was on... can't remember the name he told me I guess the village he was in, that he was stuck like up on the hill with him and three other guys, and they just kept trying to kill the foliage with what Agent Orange does, killing the jungle, the leaves and the brush and stuff.
So do they just kept spraying it, or
do they spray it overhead, or do they actually have people that come and just like, is it by plane or what?
By plane.
Yeah.
They just flew over, and he said, sometimes you couldn't have a shower. Weeks and weeks and weeks, and I guess it just gets into your skin.
So he was exposed to it pretty heavy, huh?
Correct.
So it's an herbicide, am I right?
Right, like,
yeah.
I guess kind of like the weed killer we have these days now.
Uh-huh.
I guess, but more toxic maybe.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm sure they were using something pretty toxic back then. Well, obviously. Yeah. So tell us how that affected him,
and how it affected you. Yeah.
He's got a little bit of effects of it now.
He's still alive?
Oh, yeah. He's still alive, doing good. He's in his late 70s, and he's still doing good. His effects are doing better than me, probably. But him, I think it affects him more because it affected me so much. It's more affecting him than it affected me.
Yeah.
I guess he's had to watch me fight from the effects of it my whole life. And so that's been what's going on.
So can you tell me what it was like on the day you were born and the conversations that the doctors were having with your parents?
Yes. I was born June 25th, 1970. And then from what my parents told me, I was born, and you know how they take the baby and put it over there, but they were, to clean it out and all that. They were acting really my mom, they wasn't saying much, and there was a lot of excitement going on. Basically, I was born, and my bladder was on the outside.
Okay.
It was gone.
Wow.
And then I had one good kidney, and my other kidney is like the size of a rock, from what they tell me. And I guess, and I had Dr. St. Martin, he's passed now. He kind of saved my life because they were trying to rush me to surgery like as soon as I was born. And some reason they had to leave my bladder on there for like a month. So it's why I think they flew some more surgeons in to do my surgery to remove the bladder. So basically they just rerouted my whole urinary system where I didn't have to have a bladder. Now I actually kept that until I was like 28. And then I guess all that surgery started giving up, and I was having leaking in my system. And so they made me I had a urostomy after that. And then that urostomy started leaking. And so they made me.
And what is urostomy?
Urostomy is like a urine that goes in a bag, and then you drain the bag, and it's kind of like a stoma on your side. And that started leaking. And so then I ended up having to have a Indiana pouch is what they call it. It's like a little balloon they make out of your small intestines, and you cap yourself. It's kind of made into your belly button, and you have to cap yourself to get the urine out. So that I've never had a real bladder ever. So I've always had to have something man-made bladders.
So you said the doctor, what was his name?
Dr. Eugene St. Martin.
Okay. He saved your life in a way.
They say I coded like 3 times, and they brought me back, and I thank him. He's still he was a friendly friend until he passed away. I would see him on Christmas, and we'd call each other.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, through my whole life, because I'm almost 50.
Yeah.
And he would check, he checked on me until he couldn't even remember who I was anymore. Yeah, and I had the doctor that made my Indiana pouch is Dr. Jon Van Savage. Incredible surgeon. Still works now.
Wow.
He's actually a doctor in Kentucky.
Yeah, those guys have to be so good at what they do. Even just
to make
that,
make a bladder out of
testing.
Yeah,
it's crazy that they can do that.
Yeah, he's amazing. He works on pediatric kids. He's like a pediatric surgeon. But they told me he was the best, and I went to him, and now he's like a family friend. I always talk to him when I can, and his wife. I just try to make friends with him because I need him the rest of my life.
For sure.
So you got your life saved, and you were like touch and go for a while. But let's move on to what growing up with this disease was like. What kind of things did you have to overcome?
I always tried to act like it. I always tried to act like I didn't have a disability. I didn't want nobody to know, and I didn't want nobody to make a big deal about it. So I always tried to, make myself as normal as I could be. And the only downside was getting infections. I was always in the hospital, and people would ask me, where have you been, or why weren't you at school, or stuff like that. And I was always like, well, I would never tell them I had that problem. I would just say I had the flu or something like that.
Yeah,
Make up something.
Yeah, because I didn't want nobody, to feel sorry for me or anything like that.
Yeah, I understand that.
But, you couldn't really, my thing that always slowed me down was like, you couldn't make plans, you wanted to go on vacation, you had to stop all the time. And
so did you just have multiple surgeries growing up, or?
I've had 70 surgeries.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, that's
most your urostomy and everything with the bladder. I've had hernias in my stomach area from having so much. Actually, I probably need one now because I have a hernia trying to mess with my entryway to my Indiana pouch now. So it's just like the stomach wall is getting really weak.
So it's an ongoing battle you're having to overcome.
It's I guess every day, because now I have like a degenerative bone disease from it. They said, Agent Orange, and my muscles get weak. I'm not letting it hold me down. You know how that goes. I keep pushing and pushing and pushing until I can't push anymore.
What did you do? Like you said, you didn't want anyone to know. So I'm sure there was a sense of compensation and a desire for normalcy. So what kinds of things did you do to get that normalcy in your life?
Just like one of my friends would go do stuff, hunting, fishing, any kind of sport, riding bikes or anything. I just, no matter if I was uncomfortable or whatever, I was doing just like them, playing just like them. You know, I didn't want to let it, you know, just kind of drag me down, you know, because my friends were doing it. I was like, I didn't want to say, hey, I can't do it because of this. I just wanted to be normal on it. I just did whatever, even if it was uncomfortable or it was hurting so bad. Sometimes I didn't think I should, but I was still going to do it anyway. Because, you know, you don't want to not be like your friends. And my parents raised me, you know, to be tough and normal. And that's the way I always saw myself in my brain, you know.
Did you tell your close friends that you had this disease, or did they not even know?
Probably like two of my friends, my whole school career, and even probably now, maybe 5 or 6 people of my close friends know.
Well, this is pretty incredible that you're sharing your story on here. It seems like you must have been able to develop a really strong mindset, a really strong sense of overcoming any obstacle. That, I mean, some people they never gain that. You were almost put into a situation where it was like it's either make it or break it. Right?
Yeah, you were
either
almost forced. Yeah.
Yeah, almost forced to have this strong mindset.
Well, you were forced.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I was forced. I was like, I guess, you know, day one, I was like, hey, as soon as I was old enough to know, you know, I just thought it was normal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, after so long, I was like, hey, this is my normal life. And so even growing up, I thought, man, you know, everybody had it this rough at first, you know, and then that's kind of why I try to motivate people now, because I'm like, I know what the pain is, and I feel the pain every day. You know, if we can do it, you know, somebody that doesn't have as bad as us and are just in a bad spot, you know, maybe we can encourage them, you know, to keep pushing forward, you know, pushing harder.
Exactly.
So is this a common disease now, or is it basically people that were in Vietnam, their kids?
From what I've understood, I've talked to a couple, not many, you know, that are my age, but I've heard that even my daughter don't have it, but like some people's kids that are my age are having problems with it.
Did that scare you when you had your daughter, or when your daughter was born, worrying that she might have it?
Oh yes, definitely. Me and my wife were like, well, first of all, we went, me and my wife got married, and then I kind of told her, you know, I've had all these problems, and the doctors have always told me I can't have kids, you know, and that was like, so both of us had our mindset like we're never going to have kids.
Yeah.
The doctor even told her.
Just a blessing, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And more ways than just one.
Yeah.
And the fact that she doesn't have the disease, and the fact that she was even born.
Right.
Right. Because when Megan was born, it was like, you know, it's a true blessing. I was like, my wife told me she was pregnant. I was like, what? Huh? Really? And then, you know, and then the next noble thought was like, is she going to be sick? You know, is she going to have some kind of a problem like I did? And so as soon as she was born, I asked them, you know, to check everything that I had wrong to see if she would have a problem like that too. But they said she was fine, and she's healthy. She's 22 now.
Yeah, man, that's great. That's good for you. I'm sure that feels great being able. Well, first off, you overcame the odds of when they tell you you're not going to have kids, and then you do. Like, that's cool. Yeah. Just that.
It was a 1 in a million that you would ever have a child. So
yeah,
he said you were definitely blessed.
So what kinds of things are you doing now to continue to push yourself? Like, you grew up in a hard environment and you had to overcome a lot of obstacles. And so what are you doing now to continue to challenge yourself?
Usually I try to push myself, like running or walking is a big thing for me, you know, and trying to stay healthy is the biggest part of it. But like, I'm always pushing myself, giving myself challenges like marathons, virtual marathons, or anything that pushes me to, you know, overcome any of my health issues. You know, just keep pushing forward. I don't want my health to kind of overcome me.
I know when we talked over Messenger, you said you were training for like a 5K right now, and you injured your knee or something like that. What was going on with that?
Actually, that actually hurt my knee and my ankle last year, but like my meniscus I can't have surgery on it because of the muscle deterioration.